Let me take you through the details of those stories now. The chief executive of Menzgold, Nana Appiah Mensah, is likely to be released from police custody today after his lawyers conclude processes for his temporary freedom. This comes after an Accra Circuit Court reviewed his bail conditions. As you know, lead lawyer Kwame Kufu appealed to the court to reduce the bail sum to 5 million cedis. But the court ruled that persons who have pledged to take responsibility if Menzgold CEO Nana Appiah Mensah fails to show up in court to stand trial must no longer show evidence of owning properties worth 1 billion cedis. Joseph Akable is a court correspondent and he joins me on the line. Hello, Joseph.
Hello, Gissy.
Joseph, now I know you can hear me. Run us through what happened in court today.
And so the court hearing was held simply because of an application that was filed by lawyers for the Menzgold CEO. After the court had granted them bail on July 26th, they went back to court saying that it has simply proved quite difficult for them to be able to meet the conditions of the bail. They make the point that Nana Appiah Mensah himself is not worth the amount of 1 billion cedis that the court asked that he provide as surety. They say that even the little properties that he has and the money he has in his account, they have all been frozen by the Economic and Organized Crime Office when they started investigations into this particular matter relating to the Menzgold company. So meeting the conditions are simply impossible because he doesn't have access to resources, and aside from the fact that he's not getting people who will be able to meet that particular requirement. They ask that the court varies the terms and preferably reduces it to an amount of 5 million cedis. But the state prosecutors did not oppose that, except to say that they think it's not in the position of defense lawyers to attempt to decide how much a bail bond should be executed. And so instead they asked that the court on its own decide for that matter. And the decision of the judge is to the effect that they are no longer required to use the surety in terms of demonstrating that they have properties worth 1 billion cedis before he walks away. And so that case has been taken off. What is
Joseph, I seem to have lost you briefly there. What we do know is that the bail sum was not necessarily reduced, but then the judge made some concessions.
Yes, and so the concession is to the effect that instead of the 3 individuals who are required to show that they have properties worth 1 billion cedis, they are not required to do that anymore. All what he needs to do is that he needs to find 5 people who are gainfully employed, then they sign as surety for him, then he walks away. But the bail sum remains 1 billion cedis. And so the difference between the first instance and now is that for the first instance, out of the 5 people who will be signing for him, 3 of them need to provide documents to the court showing that they have properties worth 1 billion cedis. But this time around, they don't need to show any such documents. All they need to do is that they come over to the court and they sign the documents once they are gainfully employed people, and they walk away with him.
Interesting. Well, we were able to have spoken to Niama, who has been a PRO for Menzgold, but we understand that they're still going through the processes. He is assured that he can speak to us in about 30 minutes. So presupposing that they will be able to crack this within the next 30 minutes, you are still in court. What have you seen as far as the processes they're going through is concerned?
In fact, the first place we actually went to was the CID headquarters because the team that came to support Nana Appiah Mensah, they thought that that was the next place they ought to head to. But were subsequently informed that he's being kept at a BNI custody, and so they have to process him from that place all the way to the court registry for that to be signed. So far, we've not spotted them here at the court premises, but we are monitoring closely, hoping that they come in sometime soon to execute the bail.
Very well. That again means that Nana Appiah himself was not in court today.
No, he wasn't brought to court this time around. At the previous occasion, he was brought to court. If he had been brought to court, what would have meant is that he simply have been required to go to the registry together with his sureties, they sign, and he goes home. But because he was not present at the court, they will have to now take him over. They need to sign the documents at the court registry before he leaves.
Well, we do know that the state did not oppose the appeal made by Namwan's lawyers, even though they indicated that it's not really their job to do so. It's up to the judges to decide, which you have just told us. But what else have they been saying concerning, I mean, after court? Have they been making any pronouncement, anything they said?
No, except to make the point that, I mean, once, which was actually made in open court, once that issue of bail had been dealt with, they are bent on going through with the procedure in terms of the trial proper, because there are a number of charges leveled against, including money laundering, amongst others. And so what they intend to do is that they were supposed to actually come back on the 12th of August for the trial to commence. But then again, 12th of August, we understand, will be a public holiday. And so the court asked that they take the next date about a month's time. And so it was actually fixed for the 3rd of September to afford both prosecutors and the defense team to put their house together in terms of disclosures that they must do and all other things that they need to do before the trial proper starts. And so that is the bit of, in terms of information coming from the various teams involved in this.
And just a little, by way of a little bit of education, Joseph, what they're doing now, what his team is doing now, is to try and meet these reviewed conditions to get him out on bail. But then they go back to court in what, September?
They go back in court on the 3rd of September. So what they are doing now is simply getting the 5 individuals who are against put employed together with Nana Appiah Mensah himself over to the court. They sign the documents, then he goes so.
And within which period are they supposed to crack this?
There are no timelines attached to such executions. And so if you're able to complete the process today, that is fine. You walk away. If you're unable to do that today, and because obviously the registry is not open the entire day, so once they close for work, you can simply go back the next day and continue.
Very interesting. We're still hoping to get through to speak to the PRO who has been speaking for Nana Appiah or any of his council members. But finally, I mean, the people who put a lot of pressure, you know, for Nana Appiah to be released because they believe that once he gets out, they get to have their money, are the customers. Were they there in court today as well?
Some of them came over, but I must say that the numbers are not as we witnessed at the other time. The other time we saw numbers in excess of 100 coming over to the court premises. This time around, just about 20, 30 of them came over. In fact, the last time the numbers came such that there had to be lots of heavy security present to control even access to the courtroom. People had to be searched. They had to even decide which of the customers they were going to allow into the courtroom and all of that. This time around, the numbers were not in those numbers. And even the placards, the last time they had cards that come free #1, suspend #1 prosecution, among other inscriptions on the various placards. Nothing like that happened today. At the other time again, you saw them wear red shirts, red armbands, among others. This time around, nothing of that sort. Few of them came dressed normal manner, no, not red. I didn't see many red. They just came in over to the courtroom. Some of them managed to make it into the courtroom, enter and monitor proceedings closely. And they say that they are keenly following this matter because of their investments, like you rightly pointed out, that are logged up, which they believe that if this individual is given some freedom or some access to his home, they believe they could possibly have some hope in terms of getting their investments.
Right, Joseph, thank you very much for that very comprehensive update. Joseph Akablay, the court correspondent, bringing us up to speed on what's been happening as far as the #1 case is concerned. Like we said, his team are trying to crack it open so he can walk free, at least on bail for now. If they're able to finish the processes today, good for them. If not, they can always continue. But they go back to court in September, the 3rd of September.